and then whenever you're ready.
Yes. So how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good
Yeah.
overall.
Well, thanks for making it in today. What do you want to focus on today or talk about?
Something that like I've been thinking a lot about recently, is I'll throw some backstory out
Yeah.
there to kind of start it off. So I moved out to Colorado probably like 7.5 years ago, and when I first moved out here, I work in the mental health field. So I was working at like a residential treatment center for kids with like some pretty severe behaviors like aggression and suicidal behaviors and stuff like that. And also when I first moved out here, I was like away from my partner. We were long distance. She was back in New Jersey, my partner at the time. And I was like hanging out with some friends one day, and like I never smoked weed before. And like in Colorado, that's like the thing.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I was kind of like always against it, and I was like, I don't know why people need to do that, but I never tried it.
Yeah.
So then I tried it, and then I liked it like a lot. So for like the next year and a half, I had like pretty continuous use, and like almost just about every day, once a day. Never got in the way of things. Never did it before work or anything like important like that, but it was just a nice way to kind of like end the day. So like after about a year and a half, I broke up with my long distance partner, got into another relationship with somebody who didn't really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool, so I'll stop. So I took a break for about like 2 years, and then started again when the pandemic started, because there's nothing better to do.
Yeah.
You're at home all day. And then that lasted for like 2 years, almost, like a little over 2 years. And then last year, I'm like a social worker, like social work student, and I started an internship with Denver Public Schools.
Okay.
So they didn't like drug test or anything, and I didn't really like see the point in stopping. I was like, oh, it's something that I've done. It's like part of my life. I know how to function with it. But then I started seeing how it was affecting my ability to like stay focused on conversations. And now I work in a hospital at a crisis center. So like most of the time it's like professionals working with kids, not really me, but I will go in and like de-escalate, and I'm pretty good at that. But it wasn't really affecting my job, but it was affecting me at my internship, where I was having like really intimate conversations with kids, like one-on-one in a separate room outside of their classroom. So when I stopped, I noticed like a huge difference, and it was really helpful in my focus, my self-esteem, concentration, kind of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That ended in May, so then I started smoking again after it ended.
Okay.
And that was up until about 9 days ago when I stopped again. But I keep seeing this like pattern where I know that this isn't healthy for me.
So you mentioned seeing a pattern. What pattern are you seeing? I know you said it's not healthy for you, but what kind of pattern are you also noticing?
I'm noticing that like when I don't have like these big responsibilities, I fall back into, like I said, like when I started dating my one partner, she didn't like it, so then I stopped using it. When we broke up, I started using it again, and then the internship made me stop again.
And the pandemic, you mentioned that when the pandemic started, you also started smoking, right?
Yeah, so I don't know, like I don't really know what causes it, but I know the negative effects.
Yeah, so You did mention that when you first tried it, you liked it. What about it did you like, or?
I guess the fact that like it just helped me really like detach from all these like traumatic stories, and so like it helped me get away from work, especially like fast turnaround the next day where like I'd work late and then the next day I'd have to be up and go right back into it. So like smoking at the end of the day kind of like altered my like time, and it didn't feel like this like quick turnaround. It felt like it was almost kind of like a sleep revenge thing where people stay up really late at night.
Okay.
But rather than needing to stay up really late, I just had my time like altered well,
Okay.
and I could still go to bed on time.
Yeah. What feelings do you experience when you smoke?
I guess just like I said, like being disconnected from everything and like feeling like nothing's really important. And it's just so like short lasting that like the next day I could bounce back and then things are important and like I can go to that mode again.
So what makes you want to disconnect from everything?
That's really the question I'm trying to figure out.
So are you, like, what is happening within your life? Like, what are you experiencing that you want to disconnect? Like, when you do notice those patterns that you go back to smoking, like, what are you dealing with? Is it like a lot of pressure? Like, what's going on?
I need to think about that question for a minute. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, take your time.
I guess I don't really know. It kind of like breaks up like the monotony of every day, and it kind of, I don't know, rather than just like waking up and going to bed every day and kind of dealing with the daily bullshit, it's like a break almost. And I don't know if it necessarily just has to do with like the work and like the trauma that I'm taking on and the stressors that I'm taking on. It kind of feels like, I don't know, there's like a bunch of different problems. That would be one of them.
Yeah.
Work and just kind of being like screwed over all the time by like bosses and not having the proper resources or not being able to like adequately do my job. Like I feel like I'm not being enough or like doing enough. So I guess that could be like a big thing that I'm trying to like run away from.
Okay. And you mentioned that before it wasn't a problem when you used to smoke, but now you are starting to see like an impact.
Yeah, I think that, okay, I feel like it impacts me in a couple different ways. So like one is with like schoolwork, like being in school, being a student, needing to like sit down, focus on writing a paper or focus on paying attention in class or doing assignments and stuff like that. It's not like a huge issue. Like I still feel like I get everything done and I get it done really well, but I feel like it creates this like mental like stumbling block and it makes things way harder.
Yeah, well, it's a lot being a student and working and doing all of this. It's a lot on your plate, so.
Yeah, so there's that, and then I guess like it just makes me feel like anxious overall, and like when like talking to other people. So like with the internship last year, feeling like really anxious in those situations. Like I don't want to be that for my clients. Like I want to be myself and I want to be there for my clients. And then the same thing like in my relationship too with my partner who I recently moved in with. Like I don't know, it felt like I don't want to escape from that relationship, but like since we're around each other all the time, that's kind of what it feels like. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like I'm showing up as a partner.
Yeah. Is that why you want to escape?
What do you mean?
Or because you mentioned that you use smoking marijuana to escape from things that are going on with your life.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned your current partner, like, what makes you want to escape?
Well, that's the conflict. I don't want to escape. Like, I want to be there and I want to be like present.
Yeah.
And I just like noticed that like spending time together, and we have times where we would both smoke and just have fun and like get a pizza, watch a movie, play some games or something like that. But like when it's just me doing it, I don't know, it feels so like I feel so distant and so disconnected, and I don't like that feeling.
Okay. How does she feel about you smoking?
She said that she doesn't care and that she's pretty indifferent to it. I don't know. I'm just taking her word for it. I'm not gonna like, try to read into that any further.
Does she smoke?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not to the same frequency that I do / was like a little over a week ago.
Has she noticed a difference in your behavior or your presence when you smoke versus when you don't smoke?
I don't know. I've never asked her, but I guess the way that I feel is like I feel a little lighter and less serious.
Okay.
So then since I've stopped like a week ago, I've just been like kind of way out of whack, like emotionally, like my thinking, and we had some it was actually kind of a tough weekend for us, and I acknowledge that was like probably the main issue, and I was like, yeah, like I feel like I'm going through like a withdrawal right now.
Okay.
And you know, I don't want to put all of this on you. So I guess really my goal in stopping has been to kind of avoid the anxiety, like some paranoia behind that, and just so I could kind of get back to myself and be myself in my relationship, at school, for my clients, for all that stuff, and just find like healthier ways of like coping.
Yeah. So are you happy that you made the decision to stop smoking?
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself, and like every day is like a little win.
Yeah.
So it's not what I'd like to do is like harm reduction and just use it every now and then. That's the way that I drink too. I don't use other substances at all. Like I'll drink on occasion, maybe like 1 or 2 days a week, and not heavily, like just maybe like 1 or 2 drinks. And it would be nice to get to that harm reduction with smoking as well, where it's like maybe like once a week, maybe once every other week. And that's when I quit for my internship, I did get to that spot and I felt a lot better about myself, but I just don't know if it's like, I know that addiction runs in my family, so I don't know if I need to do this like abstinence only black and white thing, or if I can enjoy myself, but on occasion, responsibly, recreationally, and not using it as like a crutch.
Well, do you feel like marijuana is like an addiction to you, or you don't view it that way?
I could see it as an addiction. Like, I know that it's not like physically addictive, but just the behavior and the escape from it is addicting. It's like, okay, I can, like, I get off of work, I'm like, I want to go home and just smoke. And like, I just want to zone out, I just don't want to do anything, but then every day turns into that. And that's like the bad side of it.
Well, I think it's good that you recognize that it's not healthy for you to kind of like use that as like a coping skill. So it's really, really great that you are recognizing that you don't want to go there, and it's good that you're making this change to stop using it. And you know, every day, like you say, every day is like a challenge. So what's helping you stay away from smoking?
I think just knowing. I think something that kept me doing it was knowing what the withdrawal is like. Like the first time it hit me for like months, maybe like 2 months of like depression, anxiety, disorganized thoughts, kind of being like all over the place.
Yeah.
And feeling that right now, I'm like, I know that I just have to feel this, and I just have to go through it, and getting out on the other side, like maybe I could do the harm reduction thing, but for right now, I'm like, I recognize that like I kind of dug this grave that I'm sitting in, and I have to work my way out of it.
Have you been feeling okay to like be in tune with those emotions and feeling them, or has it been like a challenge?
That is challenging.
Yeah.
It goes both ways. I mean, sometimes I feel fine, sometimes I don't, and it's just kind of all over the place. And I try to, I don't know, like I just try to feel the feelings, and I just try to accept them rather than trying to numb them all the time.
Yeah. Can you mention some of those feelings?
Like depression, loneliness.
Okay. Do you know what makes you feel this way?
I don't, and that's kind of what I'm here to figure out.
Okay. That's valid, yeah. Well, have you always felt this way?
No, I don't think so. I feel like I always kind of think back to like maybe about the time when I was like 16 or 17. I felt like there was like a switch, and something that I think that I have is like seasonal affective depression. So I don't know, like maybe it's kind of like coping for that.
Okay, why do you feel like you have that?
I just noticed like every year, it's like this time of the year too, where I start kind of getting like more, I feel depressed, I feel lonely, I feel sometimes irritable, restless, stuff like that.
So you noticed that when you were 16, you felt that shift.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what caused that shift?
I don't know.
Don't know.
I went to therapy at the time, and they talked a lot about like transitions, college coming up, not really having a plan and stuff like that, but it didn't, I don't know. I feel like there's more like a biological component to it.
Yeah.
But I know that in my family too, there's like other stuff like bipolar, and different anxiety disorders and stuff like that. So I feel like that's a big part of it.
Okay. So you haven't experienced like a dramatic family event that you notice like had an impact or was a factor for that like switch?
Not when I was 16. I mean, when I was like 5, like I grew up with my grandparents, and my mom left when I was like 5.
Okay.
And my dad was never really around. But at 16, 17, kind of around that time, like there were no major changes or anything like that in my life. It was just kind of business, like go to high school, go home, do some clubs.
Yeah. So, do you think that when you were 5, the things that you experienced when you were 5 finally hit when you turned 16? Like,
it could have. I felt like they hit like right out of the gate, like 5 to like 10. I felt a lot of that, but then after that, like it just kind of became normal, and it just was my life, and I accepted it, and everything was fine, and it was actually really positive. The experience that I had, I don't know how I would have turned out if I like grew up with my biological parents. Probably not.
okay.
I wouldn't be doing as well as I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
But and that's kind of the disconnect for me, is that I don't really know like what happened when I was 16 specifically, as opposed to when I was before, when I was actually dealing with all that.
Okay. Do you still think about when you were 5? Like, still think about events that happened when you were 5 right now as an adult?
Kind of, like, I see how my mom leaving, like, affects my relationships today. And that's something that I've been trying to work on, but I don't necessarily see how, like, the smoking weed would relate to that. Like, I can, but very loosely.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. So do you like smoking weed? Do you feel like that is a big problem in your life that you want to solve right now, or do you feel like there's other things that are happening?
I feel like right now, like, in my relationship and, like, just moving in, like, we're going through, like, a pretty rough adjustment period. And I think that's, like I said earlier, why I want to stop, because, like, I want to be present for that. I don't want to be, like, emotionally or cognitively impaired when I'm trying to, like, figure out this, like, major change in my life. And I don't know, I feel like it's caused more problems than it's solved.
Yeah.
But it's only like a week out, so like I think I just kind of need to ride the wave right now and just kind of do my best to cope with things, like, while my brain is kind of readjusting back to normal. But and I'm, like, trying to not put that on my partner.
Yeah.
Which is hard. It's hard and it's easy at the same time, because it's like, you know, I don't want to put that on her. That's not healthy to do whatsoever. But I'm also kind of like, you know, if she was going through something hard, I want to be there for her too.
Yeah.
So accepting that help and accepting that love, I guess. Like, I'm gonna be here for you no matter what. She told me to, and she's like, I'm gonna be here for you. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not trying to leave. But both of us acknowledge that this is, like, not an easy time, and she's going through stuff too. So I don't know. I'm trying to like build, like, a status quo of, like, I'm trying to be supportive. You work all day. Like, I'm gonna clean the house. I'm gonna cook dinner. I'm not going to try to, like, escape that at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, it's really good. It sounds like she's very supportive, and you as well. Like, it sounds like you're also very supportive partner, so that's good. What are you doing that's helping you cope or, like, stay away from smoking? Have you noticed some, like, healthy habits that you have implemented?
It's so funny because yesterday I, like, wanted to, and I play guitar, keeps my hands busy. And before I would, like, justify it, I was like, oh, well, you know, artists smoke weed and do, like, much worse drugs, so, like, maybe I could see how that influences my playing. But I actually find that, like, I can't really function very well when I'm high and I'm trying to do that. So I recognize that difference, and that keeps me away from it. And then I like to meditate and just kind of, like, find peace within myself. And I actually wrote on a whiteboard, because I was, like, high and trying to do it, and I was like, you can't practice if you're not present.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Because the two just didn't go together at all. So that, and then yesterday, what I was getting at was I was just cleaning and cooking, and I've really enjoyed cooking for my partner, and it makes her really happy, and it helps support her with everything that she's got going on. And that's something that's really hard to do when I'm impaired. So it's been, I'm just trying to find things that just occupy my time. And at the same time, it kind of also makes time feel like it's going slower. Like cooking, well, I don't know, it's kind of stressful sometimes, getting everything out at the same time. But like cleaning and just sweeping the floor and kind of just not thinking about anything else and just trying to be mindful and just trying to focus on like, I just want the house to look nice and the motion of it and just trying to, I don't know, I feel like it's helping me like get out of my head and more into my body.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot healthier.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have implemented some really like healthy habits. You know, it takes a lot to implement that into your life. So I'm glad that you have those things going on for you. And I want to be respectful of our time, and it looks like we only have 1 more minute left. It was a great conversation. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add.
I can't think of anything. I appreciate it. This is very helpful.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Cool. Good work.